All right. My boy Kindaya wanted me to watch this. Okay. BDO, there should be a fourth way. What he's talking about, you say fourth way, you say what? If you're new to the BDO space or you don't know what's been going on lately, the developers put changes on the global labs and they asked the player base, which of these changes do we want the most? There were 3 options. The first option was to add skills that could break through frontal guards and super armors. Okay. The second option was to change super armors to frontal guards pretty universally on classes. Not all super armors, but some critical super armors to frontal guards on all the classes in the game, right? To make it easier for people to grind in PvE, but also to make people CCable in PvP. Okay. The third option was to keep the current change on the global labs. Okay, which is they added a bunch of protections, guys. They added super armors, frontal guards to every class, blah blah blah, and everybody hated it because if those changes came through, you'd never be able to CC someone ever again. Okay, so like that's the reason everybody hated those. However, the third option was to keep those changes, but give every single class in the game a grab. Okay, and the reason the majority of people hate that one is honestly not the fact that giving everyone grabs is a bad idea. I think that most people, the general consensus is giving everyone grabs is fine as long as you adjust mobility. The problem we have is that in that meta, everyone is permanently protected basically all the time unless you grab them. And so like PvP will just come down to who lands the grab. And that's really boring. So no one wants option 3. But what Kendaya is suggesting is that there should be a fourth way, a simple solution for protection and the CC balancing problem. He did ask me to watch this, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it now.
Hello guys, welcome.
Okay, can we appreciate for a moment that Kendaya is a man of culture? Look at that fucking outfit. It just screams.
In this video, I want to touch a part of the balance issue that has been a problem in the game for years. It will be a short video, so I won't bore you, don't worry. As you know, EA had some trouble with the protections and CC balancing in the river. Last week, they gave too much protection to skills in the global lab updates, and this was met with the reactions from the players. This week, 29th of December update, they present...
God damn it. Okay, the thing I hate... Look, I love Kendaya. He's an amazing creator. I fucking... He puts so much text on the screen in his videos. No one likes to read.
Us with the 3 different suggestions.
So he's just showing you all of the stuff that I've already explained to you guys. These are the 3 options right here. First option, second option, third option.
It is not necessary to be a prophet or see that these suggestions will create new chaotic problems within themselves. So what if we as players present our own suggestions? The 4th suggestion. The problem is this: providing protections to ensure the comfort of the player in PvE at the same time eliminate the imbalance between classes indirectly causes the major problems, very big problems in PvP. What if I say the solution to this issue is very simple and already exists in the game? Why don't they separate the type of protections existing in PvE and PvP? This is already in the game for the iframe. As you know, there is currently something called PvE iframe in the game. You can see a few pictures right now. There are PvE specific retreat rates, there are PvE specific CCs.
I don't know what's wrong with his microphone, but essentially what he's suggesting here is that certain protection, instead of just adding protections to everyone or trying to do these big changes, which very likely will result in a lot of people leaving the game, a lot of PvPers leaving the game, he wants to make certain protections PvE only. Okay, he wants to make them PvE only. We already have certain iframes that are only an iframe in PvE. On every class in the game should have an iframe that you can spam out.
Bob just subscribe.
That is an iframe in PvE. Okay, for which it's magical evasion, for example. For Dark Knight, it's your dusk, I believe. I disagree with this. It is a good idea, and I would take that this is better than the 3 suggestions that they put on the global labs. But I disagree with this because I feel like, and I'm going to get heat for this because it's going to be a hot take, I feel like the game is already complicated enough. I feel that PvE is fundamentally important for a lot of players learning muscle memory and how protections work on their class. I think that if you separate the 2 and you make certain things iframes and super armors and frontal guards in PvE, and then you make them not protected in PvP, I think it just makes the game even harder and the learning curve even harder for newer players or even veteran players that picking up a new class to try to learn that class, because like they're constantly trying to remember, oh yeah, that's only in PvE. Oh yeah, it's on PvP. It's just difficult. I think it just makes the game a lot harder for kind of unnecessarily. That's just my take on it. I think it's a good suggestion, but like I disagree. Let's see what else.
etc. It is possible to make these coding. I think the suggestion they offer suit their...
I think we do both agree that all three of these kind of suck. Doing big sweeping, they've only ever done this once, where they've done big sweeping PvP changes, and most of you don't remember it. I was here. I was there. I was there when my people were purged, okay? At some point in the distant past, they decided that they were going to add protections across the board to every single class in the game. It used to be, back in the day, you were a lot less protected on most of the skills that you threw. There were always going to be gaps in every combo that you had, and every time you were trying to throw CCs, there were typically going to be gaps there. Every class only had 1 or 2 skills that was protected with a CC on it, like if that. You know what I mean? It was a tough time. Nowadays, they added a bunch of protections to the game. And I'm going to tell you right now that the PvP player base back then did not like that at all. Over half the player base left. Over half of the PvPers in the community back then left. I mean, just gone. And they did not come back. We lost a lot of veteran players when they did that. It scares me when they want to make really big changes like this to PvP primarily, but this also affects PvE. Just to be clear, when you talk about protections, you talk about basically the whole game. So PvEers are involved in this too. But like, when you suggest making big sweeping changes, regardless of whether or not people have agreed on it or not, you're going to lose a shitload of your player base. Even if 50% of the people agree with this, well then 50% of their community did not agree with that change, and you're going to lose a dramatic amount of players because you pushed through a change that wasn't necessary. I believe that the solution to the problem is something like Divios had suggested, where instead of making fundamental changes to CCs and protections and whatnot, like that they have suggested here, you take a system that is already fucked up that people hate, like resistances, and you make it relevant. Remove resistances from PvP, make them only PvE based, okay? And then people can stack resistances in PvE super hard for their class, and then you don't have to worry about being protected in PvE. You don't have to worry about that at all because you have 100% resist. The mobs aren't going to CC you, okay? That, like, it is what it is. People can like optimize for certain grind spots this way. You can even buff the resistance crystals as well if that's the way that you want to go with it. But like, everyone wants resistances removed from PvP anyway because it adds an element of RNG to PvP that we don't like very much. Obviously, you have to touch classes like Secession Corsair would need a new passive and need looking at. And Wizard and Witch, the staff classes, are going to need magical shield changed as well. There's a couple other classes that scale on resistances very well. But like, again, those adjustments would be much easier to make than making these big sweeping changes like this. Okay, so you fix almost 2 birds with 1 stone. You get what you want, which is more protections in PvE. Like, the PvPers get what they want. You don't crazy change their protections, and you're removing the RNG from PvP. It makes PvP a little bit more competitive. That's what I think, honestly. And then the follow-up is that you have to start balancing your classes. Okay, and I mean, most of Pearl Abyss's attempts at balancing are buff, 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 buff. Can we buff it and how? Right? They don't even look at nerfing classes. They don't nerf stuff unless it's really bad, in which case they just nerf it into the ground. And then everything else just gets buffed again. Okay? No. As Divios said in his document, he was absolutely right. Buffs and nerfs. Buff the super weak classes every couple of weeks. Nerf the really strong classes. And like every few weeks, maybe once a month, twice a month, whatever, you just reassess and you just do these balance patches, or like you're making adjustments, right? You can do big changes every once in a while. Not like this. This is too much. You can do big changes like adding certain skills to the game, like adding a Magnus skill, adding another Rabam skill, adding like a spec or whatever that you want, or adding a passive, whatever. You can do big changes like that for all the classes. You can still mix it up like you want to, but like small balance patches where you're buffing and nerfing classes are fundamentally important. Doing big sweeping changes like this are a big way to lose most of your PvPers. Okay, let's see what he says.
Interest, and they are telling us to choose one of these three options. So what if we say we won't and we want this fourth one? My suggestion is as follows. PV front guard, same symbol but in purple, only visible to the player, and it will only work for PV. PV super armor.
All right, that's honestly a good suggestion. Okay, I'm a little bit more on board with it. If the icon is just a little bit different so that players know that, hey, this is only protected in PvE. All right, that helps a little bit. Still too complicated.
Same symbol, but in purple, only visible to the player themselves, but it will only work for PvE. PvE iframe, already in the game, we know that. Same symbol, but in purple, only visible for the player themselves, and it will only for PvE. Strong front guard, same symbol as the current front guard, will work in both PvE and PvP. Strong super armor, same symbol as the current one, will work in both PvE and PvP. Strong iframe.
They could have the option to turn off PvE or PvP protection symbols. They do have it, right? Like you could turn off the protection symbols. Pro tip as a new player, leave the protection symbols on, big dog.
Same symbol as the current one will work in both PvE and PvP. If they will be separated in this way, the balance issue regarding protection and CC will be eliminated. In PvP, they will be able to add CC and provide protection as they wish. Years ago, Morlan made a reaction video, and it really achieved the desired result. The rapid increase in the views of that video derived the attention of PA. So please share this video on every platform you are on, and let's try to draw attention of PA. If this video becomes a topic with video and Black Desert hashtags, it will definitely draw attention of PA. You can also send this video as a ticket to your own server GMs or create new topics in your forums, and I already did it for myself. My purpose is simple. I want to see a better and balanced video. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your understanding.
I think that Kendaya presents a better option than the three that they pursued. I would rather his option than the three that they had. I also don't feel that his is necessarily like the way, but like I would accept it. It would be fine. It would be acceptable, but like, see, I'm a veteran player. For a new player, that makes the game way more complicated. This is the video right here. You guys should absolutely go interact with the video, whether you like it or not. Give it a comment, give it a like, give it a dislike, whatever. Because again, that gets people talking about it. That's why a lot of my content on my channel lately has been about this topic particularly. How will this be triggered? If the game picks this by itself, won't it be a pain during open world where mobs are included? Yep. But like, again, it would essentially, what he's suggesting here is that in PvE only, like your skills that are protected in PvE only have these skills here, right? And if you have to go into a GVG while you're grinding, yeah, you'll still be able to see these, but it'll be different than these, right? Because like, okay, these are my protection in PvP. These are the protections in PvE. Again, I think that like this is still complicated. This is still much more complicated for a new player to understand. They're wondering why all that now they have 6 icons. It's tough enough to understand what is going on here, much less the 6 icon. You're like, wait, why are they different? Why is everything different? It's just confusing. You know what I mean? I think it's tougher in an already complicated PvP system, which we love. I don't think you can afford to make it any more complicated. But again, I like this topic more than I like this suggestion more than the previous suggested ones. Yeah, more things to memorize, right? Option 2 by far the best class slaps in PvE and PvP. No, okay, so my problems with these options, okay? So remember, I'm going to write these on the screen. All right? Number 1, add skills that break frontal guard and super armor. Okay? Option 2. Honestly, I'll put it down below. Option 2, you guys can read it. Turn SAs into forward guards. Option 3. Give everyone grabs. Okay? Keep current options and give everyone grabs. The problem with this one is that it's going to feel not super fun on some of these classes that like, yeah, I'm in protection. I used the protection. I played the correct way, but they broke it anyway because I didn't care. But I'll be honest with you, most of the people that complain about this have a grab. Imagine a skill that can break through frontal guard and super armor. Wow, that's crazy. Let's give that to Awakening Witch and see how the grab classes like it. Right? So like, I actually don't mind this, but like, a lot of players' beef with this is that they feel like it'll be it'll not be fun. Like when you're fighting your Dark Rifts, for example, you don't like getting CC'd out of Super Armor while you're fighting your Dark Rifts, right, guys? Nobody likes that. Okay, that's the kind of mechanic that they would try to be adding. It's extremely unfun, right? And that's a fair argument. So that's why people don't like number one, and I would generally agree with that. But also, I can see where they're coming from, trying to add stuff like this to like non-grab classes, particularly, so that they can fight back, right? But the second one, turn Super Armor into Frontal Guard. This is typically the one that people like the most, because they're like, oh yeah, this is great for everyone. This is awesome. It makes it more fun in PvP. I'm going to tell you right now, the only people that find this fun, and the reason the majority of people like this second one, is because the majority of the classes in the game are flanking assassins. And flanking assassins love Frontal Guards. If you throw a Frontal Guard out against a Sork, against a Ninja, against a Kuno, against a Megu, against a Wusa, like, they're just going to jump behind it and knock you out of it. Right? Because you're only CC, or you're only blocked from the front. So losing Super Armors just objectively buffs the flanking assassins and the ranged classes. The ranged, because Frontal Guards vaporize in PvP. Anyone that says Frontal Guard can block more than one or two skills realistically in large scale and even small scale PvP is lying to you. Okay? So like, Archer just says, yes, let's change everything to a Frontal Guard. You definitely will survive more. Like, nah, you're dead. Like, you're dead to range pressure. It is what it is. And the argument against that is, well, you're going to die in Super Armor too. Okay, well, then the solution is to buff tankiness, not to give everyone Frontal Guards. Yeah, frontal these nuts. Yeah, exactly. It's just obnoxious. So, like, I think this dramatically buffs certain classes in the game, and then other classes that cannot jump behind, like Guardian. Guardian can't readily get behind players in PvP, and so if everyone is frontal guarding all of Guardian's abilities, Guardian becomes a lot less effective, right? Scholar is exactly the same way. Awakening Witch, Awakening Wizard, right? Like you just become a lot less effective because you can't CC as much. You're more reliant on that grab. In Guardian's case, in Awakening Witch, you're just helpless. It's over, bro. You're just not doing anything, right? Awakening Megu with more frontal guards. Well, imagine Awakening Megu can just jump behind you anyway. She doesn't care about this change. This is a W for her. That's why I've been peddling changes to essays, changes some essays to a 360 guard 2 or a CC limit on essays in PvP. I have heard people say that they are okay with this one so long as they add a if you can break frontal guard and super armor, that they remove frontal guarded super armored blocks from the game. I disagree with that. I also heard a suggestion that said that frontal guarded super armor should have a cooldown on it. Like, you can only sit and block for 5 seconds at a time. And I think that that is a fair change. I think removing it is a step too far. I think that putting a time limit on how long a player can just sit in frontal guarded super armor, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. They still have to rework Suck Nova, but they have to do that anyway. Right? Turning SA into frontal guard would be terrible for a frontline class. Exactly. Like, everybody wants to jump on those changes, but like, again, that is really bad for the non-flanking assassin and non-range classes in the game, mainly the frontliners. Removing SA Q block literally cripples shield classes to the point of uselessness. Yeah, exactly, Kuda. That's why I say I think removing it is not really fair. A lot of people want it removed because they feel like it's an unfun mechanic, but I also feel like Sork is unfun, right? Sork's like, it's so boring. The Guardian, the warrior just stands in block. Yeah, bro, because if he leaves block, you're jumping around like Johnny Jumping Jack, like all over the fucking place, trying to see him constantly in your iframes, bro. Get out of here. It's unfun for both classes. Shut up. And then keep the changes on the global app. Give everyone grabs. Not viable, because then everyone is too protected, and the only thing you can do is grab people. So no one likes option 3. However, I will say, giving everyone grabs is actually doable. You can totally do that. You modify the mobility a little bit without changing the identity of the classes, and then you hand them a grab. Done. Doesn't have to be a great grab, but like a grab. Okay, sure. but like, I don't really know what this accomplishes. We've literally been going for 7 years without Musa having a grab. I'm not really sure why we suddenly want to add one now and how that's going to help us in large scale PvP. I don't understand, because like that was the original like thought process. That's just kind of weird to me. So I don't think that this is the solution. I like number one personally. If they do it correctly, I think that has the least impact on the game. It does feel a little unfun, but like so do grabs. Grabs feel unfun. Whether you're the person grabbing and the person is desyncing out of your grab, that doesn't feel fun, right? Or you're the person getting grabbed and you don't have a grab to return fire with. That doesn't feel fun either, bro. It doesn't feel interactive. Like, if you're putting time limits on the forward guard and super armors, are you doing the same for iframe classes? You could just nerf stamina, right? That's really easy, Grumpleton. I think that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. You put the limit on the super armored frontal guards, and then they have to use more stamina to iframe. Fair trade? Anyway, these are my takes on this. That's the Kandaya video there. Again, go interact with the video. He's been killing it lately. Absolute specimen.